Do you ever hear of news stories or watch news stories that makes you say, I've had enough, and makes you want to turn off the TV? This is one of those stories that makes you want to switch to a different video. Not this one. This is an eye-opener that you guys must see. Every day we watch the news. Every day. Sometimes even weeks or days or months. There is another school threat after another school threat after another school threat. And December 12th, this was yesterday. There was one today. There was one today, and now there was one yesterday. It's the I don't know how many there are, but let's go to Alabama, where multiple North Alabama schools receive hoax shooter threats. Take a look at this. Because let me tell you something. These threats are taken very seriously, and if you guys think, oh, I'm gonna make a school threat and get everyone out of school, I'm sure I won't get in trouble. Wrong. You will be in trouble.
Schools across North Alabama and around the nation thrown into a frenzy this morning after calls claimed an active shooter was on school grounds. That's where we begin today on News 19 at noon. I'm Lauren Layton. News 19 has reached out to several school districts and law enforcement agencies about these active shooter calls. Many campuses went into lockdown as a precaution to ensure the safety of students. It is important to note officials and law enforcement officers say so far no threats have been credible. All students are safe and schools are resuming normal operations. So far, 4 North Alabama school districts have confirmed to News 19 that they were the target of one of these fake active shooter calls. The list includes Huntsville City Schools, Morgan County Schools, Lauderdale County Schools, and Scottsboro City Schools. Madison City Schools also responded to us and said while they have not responded to any threats, they're prepared to respond to any emergency or incident. News 19's Madison Neal is outside Jemison High School, one of the schools in our area targeted by these fake threats. Madison, what can you tell us?
That's right, Lauren. This morning, law enforcement officers and first responders swarmed here to Jemison High School after they got a call about a potential active shooter on the school campus. Now, that call did turn out to be a fake threat, but not before causing chaos and inciting fear among parents and students. The call came in just after 8 a.m. for an active shooter at May Jemison High School. Sergeant Rosalind White with Huntsville Police Department tells News 19 that officers conducted a search of the entire school campus, along with checking security cameras for a possible suspect. White says they found no evidence of a shooter on school cameras, but they also say there were no victims. Students were rushed out of the building as officers swept the scene, and one parent who came to pick up her daughter from the school says even though the threat was fake, it was traumatic for all involved.
I mean, it is petrifying. I mean, this is what keeps you up at night. You know, you worry, you pray every day to make sure that your kids are going to be safe. Because, I mean, it's scary. It is very scary. You cannot imagine. And I have children in 3 other schools, so, you know, that, you know, is very concerning.
The Huntsville City Schools say normal operations resumed after the threat was cleared. News 19 witnessed several students walking away from campus at Jemison High School, some telling me that they won't be returning to school at all this week. Now, it is important to note that Friday is the last day of this semester before the Christmas break for Huntsville City Schools, and a school official tells me that class will be in session here at Jemison High School tomorrow. Reporting live in Huntsville, Madison Neal, News 19.
You're not going to be in school this week? Well, tough. Tough, tough, tough. That's just tough. It doesn't matter. You say, oh, I'm not going to return to school because of all this. It got me out of school, and I'm not going to school anymore. It's your choice.
Del Campo High School went on lockdown for several hours today. It happened after someone called 911 claiming to be a student with a gun. Sacramento County deputies say they did not find a weapon and no students were hurt, but this is just the latest in a string of local school lockdowns across the area. ABC 10's Luke Clary is live in the studio tonight with a look at how this is all impacting children, Luke.
Yeah, Chris, you know, thankfully law enforcement did not find a student with a gun. None of the students were hurt. But after being on lockdown for more than an hour to look at many of the faces of the children as they were being dismissed, it was clear that many of them were still shaken by this experience. when someone called in a threat to Del Campo High School.
They get on scene and they are hitting the ground running.
Is where there's no activity in the hallways. Students are sheltering inside buildings, doors are locked, windows are drawn, students are hidden as much as possible, no noise, no light.
The sheriff's office cleared the buildings of any threats.
No weapons, no threats had been found, and then we let students dismiss.
Relief for families. But even when no one is hurt physically, what do the students bring home? What impact can these events have on young students?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has a lot of impacts in a lot of different ways, both immediate and long-term.
Licensed clinical psychologist Dr. Andrew Mendonça says the harm includes distraction from education, anxiety, and depression.
There's police helicopters and there's sirens and all kinds of things going on. This may be extremely traumatizing for a student.
And San Juan Unified is only the latest school to go on lockdown in our area this semester. In September, Stockton police found these 4 guns on a man near a South Stockton high school, causing it to go on lockdown. And in November, Christian Brothers High went on lockdown over what turned out to be a hoax. What can parents do?
We want the kids to talk about things. We want them to share their emotions, their reactions. Absolutely. What you don't want to do is say, suck it up. That's just the way it is.
Talking about it. It's an important step towards getting them back on track. And San Juan Unified says they have counselors on hand as well to give students an outlet for their feelings and concerns. And teachers will be speaking to their classes about this tomorrow as well. But you can imagine that there may be some students who don't want to return to school. This is a truly traumatizing event, Chris.
Wow. I got a lot more to talk about this, including a Del Campo High School lockdown lifted after reported for student with a gun. That's happening coming up. Also, crime in courts. A bomb that forced a McKinley High evacuation. Big one. But still ahead. How is Casey Caves doing after her left side of the brain was removed? It was 2.5 years after the surgery, and you're going to be amazed at what happened. Stay with us. There was a bomb that forced a high evacuation. It's probably left. Take a look at this.
A bomb threat earlier today forced an evacuation at McKinley High School for about an hour. Honolulu police say at 11:20 this morning, someone called in the threat. Students and staff waited at Thomas Square while officers checked the campus. The all clear was given at around 12:40 this afternoon. Honolulu police classify this case as a first-degree terroristic threatening, which is a felony. After the all clear was given, the State Department of Education also sent out a letter to parents informing them of the situation and saying all threats to schools or students are taken very seriously and investigated thoroughly.
I need to play you guys an example, because this is getting way out of hand, and if we don't do something about this, it's going to be out of control. Here's a clip. Let me get my summary cards here. Here's a clip from the principal's office from 2009. The video title was called Expelled. And there's one thing we talked about over the years is that people were expelled from schools. Take a look.
Dr. Caswell is always nice, but she really doesn't take crap from anyone in the school at all.
Anthony, I need to see you, please. Anthony was on a contract, which basically means he cannot be suspended for any reason, and he has to be passing his classes.
pause right here for a minute because I really think it's a great idea. Those contracts where if you misbehave in class or you do something wrong, you're pretty late, this and this, we're gonna expel you. We don't have those. Okay, so again, this is principal's office expelled from principal's office. This was updated. This was uploaded May 11th, 2009, published with over 900,000 views.
Had a tough day today, huh? I did not put you on a contract when I met with you this summer.
Yeah, you did.
Do you remember what the contract said?
You said I couldn't get in any trouble.
I will not give any teacher cause to send me out of class. Suspension will result in my
Termination.
termination.
I hope I'm not expelled because I'm supposed to be graduating this year. And I'm trying to go into college so I can get a good job.
All right, tell me what happened today.
So we were in chemistry class, and he goes, "Oh, Anthony, you're supposed to be doing the work." And I told him, I was like, "I don't have it." And he just got mad at me and kicked me out of class, told me to get out. And that's when I got mad, and I used a couple...
I think I played this
So why
before,
don't
but
you tell me
I'm playing
what you
this
said to
again.
him?
I told him, you eyesight-looking bastard.
What? What is in your head right now?
A lot.
Oh, Anthony, I don't even know what to say to you. You have really got yourself in it this time. You being frustrated and you thinking that what he did was wrong doesn't give you the license to insult him. Do you know that?
Yeah, I know that.
But then why did you do it?
Just because he's a teacher doesn't mean he has the right to kick me out of class.
Yes, he does. Yes, he did. That does mean that. Yes.
For asking a question on the class that I'm trying to pass, I mean, if I would have disrupted the class, if I would have said something, I had the class laughing or I had the class looking at me.
But you can't F him off and insult him.
When I'm trying to work so that I can graduate, so he kicks me out.
That's all you said.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yeah.
As if that's not enough.
He came back and he said that I was saying that I was going to punch him in his face.
That is what he put in writing to me.
Yeah, and I never said that.
Because that is a threat, you understand?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Listen.
Anytime a threat is made toward a teacher, we take it very seriously. It holds a very serious suspension and often police action.
I would never threaten a teacher. I would never threaten anyone personally. I never say I'm going to punch someone. If I'm going to punch someone in the face, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to say I'm going to punch you in the face because you know it's coming.
Oh, I just can't believe this. I'm like sick over this. I really thought you were coming back to get things taken care of this year. I can't allow you back in.
That's fine, man.
I gotta tell you, I'm very disappointed. I feel sick that I have to send you out. But I'm gonna try and find a way that you can still get your diploma. I don't want you getting your GED. I want you to get your diploma. You are dismissed, however, and you're gonna be heading out.
All right.
Take care of yourself. I'll call you soon.
I feel like she had no other choice. I mean, I did sign the contract knowing that if anything did happen, I was getting kicked out of school. So she just had to do what she had to do.
What's particularly frustrating to me is that I want to be able to give kids a break, but this was just too far beyond that. I couldn't. And it's hard for me to have to follow through with that at times.
And if I was the principal doing something like this, it wouldn't be hard for me to follow through because I teach them, hey, you knew what you did was wrong, now you gotta pay the price. You gotta pay the price. Coming up next, Casey Caves. Her left side of the brain has been removed. How is she doing now? We'll update you on your progress. Then, what's happening in Oxford? There's now new evidence against the parents. Stay with us. Bring up to speed now on Oxford. Just almost 5 days ago, a major development in a criminal case against the parents of the Oxford High School shooter who opened fire just over a year ago, killing 4 teens and other injuries. That's the case. Now it's a case against the parents. In response to 6 attempts by defense attorneys to have the bond reduced. I mean, this is the 6th attempt for this. Remember, They requested their bond to be lowered because they claim they were not good parents. They're not bad parents. In response to the 6 attempt by defense attorneys to have bond reduced for Jennifer James Crumley, the county prosecutors writing specifically what Jennifer allegedly told officers in the back of the police car. Addressing her son's mental state following the shooting in November 2021, Jennifer allegedly referenced her and her husband buying his gun. The prosecutors said, "You know, my biggest fear was that he was going to turn the gun on himself," she allegedly said. The prosecutors also started a murder weapon that wasn't locked up based on evidence from critical witness already endorsed by the defense. "I believe there was a big flight risk. All the signs were there." That was one of the parents who said. The filing also states there's no evidence of the two would not flee released. They had previously been caught with a large amount of cash and phones hiding inside a Detroit warehouse. The defense attorney made herself a witness by offering her own testimony. But the parent also said they were aware things were not okay with him. And at that point in the meeting of the school, why didn't they address the issue of the gun? Also written in the filing is that's defense attorney Shannon Smith made us a witness. But in addition to the allegation that when it came to alarming drawings, Jennifer told the police she didn't even look at them closely. Yet the filing says she actually messaged her husband to say, "Call now, emergency," and I am very concerned. But for small, it's become more proof that issues were ignored. They clearly had some concerns about this mental state, and that shows through their actions and their comments she added. Charge remains by manslaughter, but again, both Jennifer and James remain locked up on a $500,000 bond. Prosecutors maintain that they sold their home and horses as part of a plan to flee. Judge Shalom has issued a gag order preventing both sides from making statements to the media outside the court. So now, that's where it comes in. Handcuffs and toilet tissue in the mouth. If I was one of the parents of Ethan Crumley, and let me tell you something. If I was one of the parents of Ethan Crumley and something like this happened, you told me to put a gag order on me, kiss my ass. I'll say whatever the hell I want. Yeah, I'm gonna go in there, you ain't gonna like what I say. And now, just yesterday, the staffers break their silence. Lots of evidence being piled up. Now the school staffers are breaking their silence, and I will read you the article, but I have to get the description. And in that Uvalde school shooting, Mother Jones has released an article yesterday about the truth about stopping mass shootings from Sandy Hook to Uvalde. It's because of those AR-15s. I mean, let's look at this. Taking together the picture of these 5 mass shootings. That supermarket in Buffalo, New York. Robb Elementary School, Uvalde. The Independence Day Parade, Illinois. Prosecutor was 21-year-old male. Weapon of the year was AR-15. 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 3 of these shootings had the AR-15. This one's AR-15. AR-15. All of these shooters have AR-15s. Laws have to be created to make sure people under 18 don't get these weapons. And if you're under 21, you cannot get the weapons. Just like laws that say you cannot be getting you cannot get alcohol until you're 21. That's got to be the same for big guns, right? I guess so. But in Texas, they have open carry laws. So if I were to open carry a taser everywhere I go, I wouldn't be defending myself. Someone would say, "Someone going on, number one, hello, yeah, this guy tasered a man, get over here." I'll just say to the police, I'm only defending myself. I had another weapon on me, which is pepper spray. I'd fess up everything to the police, to becomes a taser gun, and it'd be a great lesson. It'd be a great lesson. And now the sheriff's office had no active shooter policy at the time of the shooting, according to the review. So there needs to be one. Coming up next, how's Casey Caves doing? It's been 2.5 years. It's 2.5 years since that surgery, and Robert Brazell is going to update you. Then, Brandy's Miracle. Deborah Roberts on Brandy's Miracle. Stay with us. Yesterday, I brought you the story about Casey Caves, a teenager who had a remarkable surgery that would require the half of the brain removed in order for epileptic seizures to stop. We've walked you through the process as Casey Caves started rewiring for 5 years. So the question is, how is she doing? Well, it's been over 2.5 years, so let's take a look at what's happened. Here's Robert Brazell.
10.
Of course, Regina still helps Casey with her homework.
Together, we sit at that table every afternoon, and we'll do this work, and we'll do whatever it takes. Yay! Just awesome. Just awesome, girl.
Do you ever feel like the Lord is testing you?
I feel like the Lord has blessed us. I know she was a perfect child. Maybe I wasn't the perfect mother to have this happen to, but I'd like to think that I've done well through all of it. And I give God praise because he brought her through it. She's alive, and I'm thankful.
Now, 2.5 years after the surgery, Casey is conquering a mountain of challenges to her independence.
This is great.
From skiing in the winter to snorkeling last summer, Casey continues to astonish her parents.
It was terrifying to me to think that she was out there swimming and she only had one arm and one leg. But she put the mask and the flippers on and away she'd go.
Hi, how are you? Good, how are you?
Now a senior, Casey has become accustomed to using only her left hand in her day-to-day activities and needs very little help.
Yeah.
Doctors say Casey's impaired right side won't improve much more.
Don't burn yourself, Casey.
Just as her body is adapting after the surgery, so is Casey's brain.
She is a totally different person when she started school this fall.
So, how was your Monday? Yeah.
She's more willing to talk. She's more willing to be open about what she can and can't do, and she gives it every effort. I think she's getting some of that old Casey confidence back.
I can talk. I can, really communicate.
Casey's brain continues to build new pathways, something doctors weren't sure it would do because of her age at the time of the surgery.
Okay, you're gonna do that, and you're gonna do more.
How is it with your speaking now compared to the last time I saw you?
It's doing better.
But sometimes you still have to struggle, right?
Yeah.
But right after the operation,
I can't.
you couldn't say blue. You couldn't say blue.
Right, and so it's like.
Now, but if I ask you what color the sky is, you say
Blue.
But reading is the toughest of all.
Oh man.
And that is a big struggle, right?
Very, very, very. S-I-P-C.
Very good. When doctors removed the left half of Casey's brain, they took away not only her language center, but her ability to read, too.
Idea. Next.
So she spends at least an hour every day after school learning to read again.
I-X-X.
But the one subject Casey's been studying hardest lately doesn't require much reading.
If you drive down a neighborhood street and you see kids playing, what's the first thing you should do?
Slow down and stop.
At 16, Casey's passion for driving is even stronger than it was a year ago.
So excited. Nervous, yes. Very nervous. I'm excited.
Casey scores 100 on her driver's ed exam, but getting behind the wheel is quite another test for her and for her parents.
It's kind of a hard thing to do, though. You've got a child that's paralyzed and half a brain, and to say, yeah, we're going to let you drive.
Can we go now? Is it safe? Okay, let's go.
Casey's car is modified so she can stop and go with her left leg and steer with her left hand. But the surgery also left Casey with no peripheral vision on her right side. And the state of Oklahoma initially denied Casey a driver's license for that reason. So Casey's getting special glasses to extend her field of vision, and she'll apply again.
Did it seem strange to be back there behind the wheel and you were the one that was in control?
Yes.
In many ways, Casey's parents are no different from the parents of any 16-year-old.
So it's not like you're going to be getting a lot of tickets?
That's right. I'm a cautious driver, safe driver.
But for Casey's parents, it's not the driver's license itself that matters so much. It's just a symbol of something much more important.
she wants her independence. I mean, she's already told us she doesn't plan on staying with us forever. She wants to leave this place and live her own life, and that's what she should do. That's what growing up's all about.
I feel very lucky.
If somebody said to you, you're an amazing example for so many people, what would you say?
I don't feel like amazing person. I feel normal. I mean, like, you know, have my brain cut out. You know, that's a big deal.
You can say that so easily. I had half my brain cut out.
I mean, it's no big deal. I'm really blessed. Yeah, that's it.
Just a few weeks ago, doctors performed the same operation Casey had on a 15-year-old Nebraska girl, Amber Ramirez, who also suffers from Rasmussen syndrome. Although doctors are concerned whether the brain can rewire itself in someone as old as Amber, so far she is said to be doing well.
And Casey is a remarkable woman, but now she was on the doctors. When I pulled up a clip today, yesterday about hemisphererectomy that the doctors talked about, and another case happened, and Casey Caves was there. We'll probably give you an update probably as it goes along, but coming up next, a very similar story. Brandy Binder, a remarkable girl, loves music, she daydreams about being a singer, and Binder's talk about boys. Deborah Roberts with Brandy's Miracles. Stay with us. If you just joined us, we're talking about the hemisphererectomy. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's an operation where doctors remove the left side of the brain that only if seizures happen. That's the only way it can happen, only if you have seizures on the left side. Since the right side is like problem solving and all. Now we're going to introduce you to Brandy Binder. A remarkable example like Casey Caves. But it happened on a child. But is it very similar to what Casey Caves? Have you ever seen Casey Caves? Judge for yourself. Here's Deborah Roberts.
Brandy Binder is a 13-year-old junior high school student in Colorado Springs who loves music.
I daydream, you know, about being a singer.
She has big dreams and the obsessions of any other teenage girl.
And do you talk about boys? A little bit?
Sure do.
Brandy's normal life is a testament to her parents' determination and the power of a child's brain.
What about when you meet new people? Is it hard to explain to them?
I don't want to tell them right away. I'll wait for a while.
And how do you explain it? What do you say to people?
Well, I just tell them straight out. I got half of my brain taken out.
You say that? I have half my brain taken out.
Uh-huh.
And do people look shocked?
Here
it comes.
Brandy's life started out so perfectly.
When she was born, we said, hey, we have a normal baby. You know?
Stephen and Cindy Binder remember watching their new baby grow. Everything seemed to come naturally. Until one day, something went wrong.
Brandy was just a little over 4 years old, and she started developing some eye twitching. And shortly thereafter, she started new symptoms like teeth grinding, excessive drooling, unable to swallow. I'd get up and I'd think, oh, you know, what's wrong with her? And I'd just go in there and lay with her. And I'd listen to her heartbeat, and I'd think, what happened to you?
Can you hear me, baby?
Their daughter was suddenly having powerful seizures like this one.
Brandy, can you move your arms?
One minute, Brandy was playing, then without warning, she'd slip into a drooling trance. Her parents took her to dozens of doctors, but none could explain why this was happening. Eventually, one doctor diagnosed epilepsy and prescribed medication, but Brandy's seizures only grew worse.
Every day I would open the phone book and I'd call a new doctor because nobody could help. Nobody, you know, we'd go in as the doctor would scratch his head and say, I don't know what's wrong. Let's run some tests. And I'd say, well, geez, these tests are already done. And, so another doctor did these tests. And why is she growing worse every day? What's wrong with her?
Brandy's seizures were so relentless that her parents began recording and logging them.
On a good day, it was considered to be 150 to 200 seizures.
That was a good day?
That was a good day. We averaged anywhere from 10 to 15 seizures an hour. And it went on day and night.
This seizure lasted nearly 4 minutes. Only 3 minutes later, as Brandy struggles to recite a nursery rhyme, it happens again. The binders became desperate. Brandy's IQ had dropped dramatically. She'd lost 20 pounds, and she was taking up to 40 anti-seizure pills a day.
There's two fears. One, that the seizures were damaging her brain. And two, the drugs were damaging her. So it was a fight for time. We needed to find something fast. And as time went on, the doctors became more confused. They weren't sure what this was.
Finally, at the University of California in Los Angeles, doctors pinpointed the trouble.
We concluded that this right hemisphere was the source of her problems, and this is what it looked like.
Dr. Donald Shields discovered that the seizures were firing mostly from one side of Brandy's brain and were caused by a rare disease called Rasmussen's encephalitis.
And I said, well, that's great. That sounds like you could take a drug and get rid of that. So I asked the doctor, well, what's the ultimate cure for this disease? And that's when he said removal of half the brain.
How do you even react to that kind of news? That the only way to give your daughter a life is to remove half her brain?
Well, I didn't accept that. I said, can we try some drugs, or do we have to do this right away?
New drugs did not help. The binders were now forced to consider that horrifying option, the hemispherectomy, surgery to cut out most of Brandy's diseased right brain. The binders were terrified. Would the surgery leave their daughter totally disabled? They knew at the least she'd come out paralyzed along her left side, since it's controlled by the right part of the brain. And would she be able to think and to learn? The right side of the brain is also linked to things like creativity and problem solving. Would Brandy lose those abilities too?
We were up, pacing the hallways. Should we go through with it? This is such a dramatic operation for our little girl. Should we go through with it?
Let me ask you something. You want a doctor to get rid of your seizures? A lot or a little? Why? Why, sugar?
You know, we didn't have a choice. It was obvious that what Brandy needed was to get rid of the seizures.
Surgeons agreed to try and preserve Brandy's motor skills by removing only a quarter of her brain. But immediately after the 12-hour operation, they knew their efforts had failed. She began seizing again. Now there really was no other choice. Most of Brandy's right brain would have to go.
I knew that my little girl would come out half paralyzed, that she would be wheelchair bound, that she was going to lose the ability to dance like a ballerina. She would never be able to do another cartwheel.
5 days later, the second operation. This time, 9 agonizing hours. Cindy and Stephen waited and wondered.
When Brandy woke up, how would she respond to us? Half of her brain, half of herself was taken out. Would she still recognize us? Would she still have the memories that she had from her past?
Would Brandy still be Brandy? Would we still have our little girl?
Bruised and battered, Brandy emerged from the operating room, no longer seizing. And to her parents' relief, her memory was still intact. But she lay dazed, paralyzed on her left side, and with an ugly scar that crossed her skull. Underneath, nearly half her brain was now gone.
I sat around for a couple of days and I thought, how am I going to deal with a child that has half of her brain now? How am I supposed to cope? You know, Brandy was unable to do anything. She was in diapers. She couldn't sit up for a minute without assistance.
So you had to start over with her as if she was a baby.
Yes, we did.
6-year-old Brandy couldn't understand what had happened, and her mother couldn't find the courage to explain.
And then one day she just plain old wanted to get up out of the wheelchair. And she said, Mommy, help me up. I want to get out of the wheelchair. And I bent down in front of her and I said, Brandy, honey, you can't walk anymore. You're paralyzed. And she started crying.
Brandy's heart outbreak fueled Cindy's determination. Tirelessly, she contacted experts all over the country in a frantic search to help her daughter. A doctor in Indiana gave her the most critical piece of advice.
That doctor changed our life. She said, stimulate, stimulate, stimulate. Challenge, challenge, challenge your daughter, and don't ever stop.
Don't ever stop. Challenge, challenge, challenge. And stimulate. Don't ever stop. Great phrase. Before we continue on, you should know that mostly every child, it's a pretty rare surgery, the hemisphererectomy, but it's really rare. If you talk to some people about this and ask, have you ever heard of the hemisphererectomy? And they'd say, well, yeah, I've heard about it. It's where you remove half of your brain. Then to walk you through the process, to give you some examples. And then sometimes every child or adult can go through this. I mean, we looked at Casey Caves, and in my own experience, and I watched this several times years ago, and as I was watching, I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe this could be good, seizure-free. So, in Brandy's case, she was a child, so it could rewire itself by the time they're the teenage years. But in Casey Cave's case, she was not 10; she was 14 when it happened. So really, the question is, will Brandy ever survive? And what's going to happen what's going to happen next when they go through all this, go through the challenges and all? Coming up next, Deborah Roberts with the conclusion of Brandy's miracle. Will she survive? Or will she survive in challenge? Or start over like a baby? Meaning after the surgery. Stay with us. Here's a question for you. You've just spilled spaghetti sauce or burger grease on your brand new suit. What do? Do you go to the dry cleaners? Do you pour wine on the suit to get the stain out? You're about to see something that really stuck my mind when I uploaded this video almost a year ago. It's called the Teflon suit, and as Josh Mankiewicz tells us, you can eat like a slob and still be in better shape. Here's the Dateline Discovery.
How to develop executive style, how to commute in a 3-button suit.
It's the official outfit of the rat race, the uniform of the organization man. Problem is, business suits are as fragile as the image they're designed to create.
Can I have a small cafe latte?
Americans are tough on their suits, and I'm no exception. But now I have a secret weapon in the war against stains. Just watch this.
That is something.
It's Teflon. Yes, Teflon. The same thing that coats this pan.
Teflon.
This is something different. It's something new.
Peter Cohen is from a family of Montreal suit makers. He's convinced that he's discovered the biggest thing in menswear since polyester made the jump from test tube to closet.
They run the fabric through a vat of Teflon, and they bake the Teflon into the fabric. Now, this gets baked on not on the surface, but at the level of the fibers. Forms an invisible molecular shield.
This is pretty well. At about $375, this molecular shield looks and feels like a normal suit. But the Cohen's product has a high-twist fabric that resists wrinkling, a permanent crease in the trousers, and
that Teflon edge.
Out of the frying pan,
into the boardroom.
Time?
Yeah, it's about, oh, man. On stains, everybody's an expert.
You pour white wine on a red wine stain. Take it out.
But I didn't need it. That's something? Huh? Ready for that big meeting? Have the original, with cheese. So I tried Coca-Cola, milk, soy sauce, beet juice, mustard, ketchup, and ice cream.
Ice cream soup.
What you're telling me is I no longer need a raincoat and I can eat like a slob.
Well, if you eat like a slob, you'll be in better shape afterwards because you'll be able to get it off.
But there's a trick to getting it off. You don't wipe off wine, coffee, or juice. You sort of pat the stain with an absorbent cloth or napkin. then brush away what's left. For stickier stuff, you have to use the edge of your napkin to sort of scoop up as much of the spill as you can. Keep in mind that I was a lot tougher on this suit than you probably would be. But even after a hard day of eating, it looks pretty good. I got a stain here from the beet juice, and then I got another one down here from the grease in the hamburger. But otherwise, I'm pretty much ready to go back to the office.
This isn't a miracle product, and it's not a frying pan suit. Nothing's going to slide off it if it's really applied and ground in.
Oh, but if you're a member of the Eat It, Then Wear It club, the Teflon suit could cut down your visits to the dry cleaners. How often do you see people who've spilled a little wine or a little coffee or a little salad dressing or some mustard on their suit, and they come in here and they go, you got to get this out?
I'd say very often. I'd say as much as about 40 to 50%.
If that stuff didn't sink in, what would that do to the dry cleaning industry?
Well, I see your point.
You can take a lot of days off. So, is the urban warrior about to hit the battlefield in a full metal jacket? And what's to prevent a guy who wants to look sharp from wearing a Teflon suit to do just about anything? Man, I'm really working up a sweat.
Right motion, 24 power pass, on two. And by the way, nice suit, Mr. Mankiewicz.
Oh, thanks a lot. It's Teflon, you know.
Ready, break.
But is it available at most stores? We don't know, but it's across the U.S. and Canada. We don't know if there are hardware stores or clothing stores. So if you remember the Eat It, Then Wear It, it's the Teflon suit. It may be good for you after the dry cleaners. And your friends maybe he's done going, it's Teflon? I thought it was from a pan. It wasn't a suit. If your friends question you this, play them this video, show it to them, and bam. They want to go out, buy $375 worth of soup, and they want to try it for themselves, get stains all over, and you're still looking sharp. Take that, bitch. We'll be right back. Well, we've now run out of time. I was going to share with you part 2 of Brandy's Miracle. We're going to hold that off for Wednesday. Will Brandy survive? Or will she be paralyzed for the rest of her life? Tune in next time when we conclude Brandy's Miracle as she goes through, as she challenges herself to physical therapy like Casey Caves. That's Give Me a Break for this Tuesday. We'll see you again at Give Me a Break Wednesday. For all of us here at Give Me a Break on YouTube, I hope you had a great day, and I hope you've had a good night. You have a good night.